Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. You know, if you build a better business, you can then be a better architect. And better businesses start with planning for profit. Download our free course, Profit for Small Firm Architects, at entrearchitect.com/free course. This is Entre Architect Podcast, and you're listening to episode 158. Welcome back to the Entre Architect Podcast. My name is Mark R. LePage, and this is the podcast dedicated to a successful life as a small firm architect. Whether you have plans to someday start your own firm, whether you're in the process of launching a startup, or you might be an experienced small firm architect just trying to make a difference, this podcast is for you. My goal is to inspire you to build a better business so that you may pursue your purpose with passion and live the life of your dreams. This week on the podcast, I'm speaking with two young architects about their journey to build their successful small firm. Coming together in architecture school, these guys survived the recession by developing a company creating BIM objects for manufacturers, then designing and building tiny houses, which led to getting noticed on the media. And now they're launching their newest projects, a new book, a new podcast, and an architect as developer project. These guys are not waiting around waiting for permission. They're just getting it done. This week at Entree Architect Podcast, getting noticed through fun projects with Lance Psycho and Alex Gore of F9 Productions. This episode of the Entree Architect Podcast is sponsored by NCARB, helping architects reach their goals. Explore your options today at ncarb.org. And TrueStyle, the leader in high-end architectural interior doors. Learn more at entrearchitect.com/TrueStyle. And FreshBooks, the easiest way to send invoices, manage your expenses, and track your time. Learn more at freshbooks.com/architect. Lance Psycho and Alex Gore, welcome to Entree Architect Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us, Mark. It's a pleasure.
It's great having you guys here. You guys have been hanging out in the Entree Architect community for a long time. You contribute over at the Facebook group. You've recorded in my 100th episode. You guys were on with your recording there. Talking about whatever I asked about for that. But I remember you guys being on there, and you pop up all over. So it's pretty cool to have you guys here. You guys have a really interesting story. Your firm is named F9 Productions, which I want to know that story. I want to know why F9 Productions for an architecture firm. You're based in Colorado, award-winning firm, including the 2016 Architizer A+ Award. So congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. We're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and you guys have a unique story. A couple of young architects just jumping out there and doing it. I love that. I love seeing architects coming out of school wanting to create something and just doing it, not letting things get in your way. So I can't wait to share your story with the community here.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're excited to tell our story. Absolutely. I mean, that's the number one reason why we're on the podcast today.
So let's roll right into that. Alex, how about you start with your origin story? Go way back to where you discovered architecture, what inspired you to become an architect, and then roll right into sharing your journey to where you are today with F9.
Yeah. So my story goes way back, so far back that I actually don't remember. I've always wanted to be an architect, and I always drew mainly ants versus bees. I don't know why, but I was so young that I didn't know where the ants came from. I just thought they were on the ground. So I drew them on the ground, and then I drew the bees in the holes. So I had it reverse. And then I graduated to pirate ships. And my grandma gave me old calendars, and then the big ones. So I flipped over the back, and then I would just draw cities. And then I'm sure my parents everyone just said, "Oh, you'll be an architect. You'll be an architect."
It was just obvious.
Yeah. And then I grew up in Minnesota. But I didn't want to go to the U of M for whatever reason, just probably being stubborn because everyone else was going there. So if you remember when you're looking for colleges, you go to the convention center. And I went to the U of M and said, "Hey guys, I know you're great, but I kind of want to go somewhere different." And they said, "Well, have you heard of NDSU? They're right around the corner, in the convention." And I go, "No, I have not heard of North Dakota State University in Fargo." So I went and visited them. And then that's kind of where we connected. Do you want to tell about pre-NDSU?
Yeah. So I'll jump in. This is Lance now. And I wasn't drawing bees in the ground like Alex was, but growing up, I was always playing with Legos. My favorite thing was Legos, 100%. And then I was always drawing too. So I always had a sketchbook by me all the time. My grandmother, again, another grandma story, God bless them. She always made sure I had something with me when we were drawing, and she always took us on like summer vacations, and that's where I did a lot of drawing out in the Rockies in Idaho. But I didn't really know that I wanted to be an architect, or nobody really ever said, kind of like maybe Alex, they said to Alex, like, oh, you'll be an architect, or an engineer or something like that. What happened was I actually liked the building aspect of it more than anything. So I started working when I was 13. I lasted one summer on the family farm. And
farming is hard work.
In North Dakota, the mosquitoes are horrendous. And so I said, to heck with that. And my dad's best friend was a contractor. And so my first summer was spent when I was 13 we did over 70 roofs. We'd tear off and put one back on that day. Sometimes we'd get done in like 6 hours. And then from there, I didn't really take school too seriously. But I took building seriously. So I decided, I want to be a contractor. So I went to Wahpeton, North Dakota, down to North Dakota State School of Science, which was about 45 minutes south of Fargo, and went to just to get my associate's degree in building construction tech. And all that was basically, you went through like type 5 construction, you did a little bit of type 3 and stuff like that. And you came out at the end of the day, you should be able to be a contractor. You should be able to do estimates. You should know how construction works, and do your job. That's when I started to actually like school because I felt like I had a choice in what I could do. Because I grew up in a town of 500 people, graduated with a class of 19, should have been 20, but one guy flunked out. And there was no opportunity at all to be able to actually choose electives or anything in that school. I mean, it was a K through 12. So when I got down to Wahpeton and I could finally choose what I wanted to do, all of a sudden I just loved school. I became like a straight A student. And then at the end of it, we built a house. And we started looking at the floor plans. And I just wondered, why did the designer make the decisions he made on these plans? And I wanted to know why those decisions were made. And so I started looking at architecture school because I just wanted to keep going to school. And there was a cultural diversity tuition waiver, so all my tuition was waived. And I ended up landing a bunch of scholarships because all of a sudden I was a good student. And so I ended up going to North Dakota State University, same class as Alex. The joke is that I got in, so there's 350 people that start out freshman year. They wean it down to 50. And in one of our classes, the very first class you take it's like an intro to drawing class. And we had to carve like an eating utensil out of a piece of giant basswood. I'm not talking about like the basswood we use for our models, I'm talking about a big block of it. And so I had a buck knife and I was carving with it and I almost cut off my index finger. And then it was announced to the whole class that
stop carving, no more carving. We aren't doing this anymore. So
get your pencils out.
Yeah. So I always joke that the only reason he got in was because he cut himself, because it was so competitive.
It was just out of sympathy.
Yeah. So we met basically the next year, the second year, and we were in studio.
When you're actually put into like studio courses.
Right.
Yep. And we both did not like each other right away.
I didn't like Alex because he liked Michael Jackson. It was as simple as that for me. For some reason, I was just not into Michael Jackson. I was more into like punk music at that point.
Yeah. So I would play in studio Michael Jackson on repeat, and then if they got sick of that, I would bless them with Neil Diamond on repeat.
So you were that guy. You were that guy in the studio. Got it.
Somehow people liked me. I don't know why.
and then he didn't like me because I liked the girls.
Well, he was mainly more focused on girls than architecture, which was hilarious. And I think so. We kind of had a rivalry to begin with, and he didn't like me until we presented probably our first or second project. And basically, the project was to design an architecture shelter for yourself out in the middle of the desert. So you only have a few spare things. You have to make something. And I was up presenting, and it was a cool asymmetrical design. And the professor, which was an awesome professor, one of our favorites, but very sustainable.
Very a super uber greeny type of professor.
Green guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, Alex, what is in the fire pit? Because I carved stuff and put them in there. And I go, well, obviously that's the bones of the animals I killed and ate.
And my jaw dropped, and I thought, there's something about this guy. Like I have to at least I have to understand this person. I need, I'm such, like, I need to know, I'm the type of guy that needs to know why, who, what, why, where, and how, right? So then that was our first semester. And then we got put into the next studio next semester. And I said, I'm just going to sit right across from him. And there's just no way out of this. Yeah. So we sat right across from each other, got to know each other a little bit. And then, we kind of at least would tolerate each other. Then we jumped into the next year, and we had to do a very big project. Like I think it was too big for a third-year studio when I look back at it. It was an airport, just a giant airport. I mean, and we'd only done like residential projects up to that point. Well, I was the team leader for one team that was a team of 4, and Alex was the team leader for another team of 4. And it was kind of an awful project because it was like herding cats. And we just didn't think our team members, like everybody wasn't aligning. There's a lot of like young egos. Nobody really wanted to be the lead. Everybody wanted to be the leader. Nobody wanted to be sort of not a follower, but like a team member. So by the end of the project, we got so sick of it, and we watched each other try to lead each other's teams separately. And we said, man, we should team up. If we ever get a chance, we should just team up again.
Yeah. So then at NDSU, one of the biggest and most prestigious studios is basically doing a skyscraper. And they were having us do personality tests. And we knew that they were going to pair opposites. So we rigged it. I was like, you say this, I'll say this.
I don't even think our friends know that.
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, only an A can go with a D. And we're like, oh, well, Lance, look at that.
Yeah.
So we teamed up and we won that competition. And it was great. And then the next year was 5th year. And then there was 2 competitions for 5th year. One is basically the best student, the Alpha Rho Chi Award. And then one is to win the thesis award. And then just like Lance in 2nd year came over to my desk, and midway through the last semester, I just moved my desk out of my studio and then went over to his desk. And like, I'm just abandoning ship and going over there so we can at least, talk and, share secrets and everything. So he won the thesis award, and I won the Alpha Rho Chi award. So there's a debate at who's better, and obviously it's me because I'm telling the story.
Hey, I could break that tie because I have an Alpha Rho Chi award.
So there we go.
I sorry, Lance.
I never thought it would come to this.
Yeah. So then we graduated. We knew it was going to be tough sledding because we were trying to get jobs in 2008, which in September was the recession, and this was May.
The previous year, there was from our university, there was a 95% rate of people getting jobs. I mean, it was incredible, right? It was at the height. There was everybody was spending money. It was crazy.
Yeah. I remember going to thesis reviews. And a guy said, I need to stop this because this is probably SOM calling for a job offer.
and then getting the job and then say, back to my presentation. Not even caring about their critique.
So then at the end of it, we have kind of a rooftop party at a deck the college puts on for architecture. Our parents are there, all the teachers there. It was all great. And we said, maybe in 10 years, we'll meet back together and start a firm.
And it was actually one detail that Alex left out was it was a discussion with that very first professor. Yeah. And that professor also, when Alex told him about the bones, that professor, we had him for the skyscraper competition. So he was very integral, and he even called us like I love telling everybody that he called us the Renaissance team. He's like, this is my Renaissance team. And so, he's just gung-ho for Alex and I as a team. And then, we talked about it up on the rooftop. Like, you guys really should start a firm one day.
Yeah. Yeah, his thesis questions to me still haunt me. I thought he was going to be nice to me, but no. So then, we parted ways. I went to New York, Studio Daniel Liebskin. Lance went Studio HT here. Both of them, Brad Tomasak and
Christopher Hare.
Yeah, won Young Architects of the Year.
And that's 2008.
Yes.
Yep. 2008. Yeah, October of 2008. I landed in Colorado. I like to think it was one of the last opportunities for a job, like an entry level job, because there was a ton of students. If you go to North Dakota State, you're either going to go to Minneapolis or you're going to go to Denver, or Seattle. But like those 3 markets, for some reason, that's the draw. out of that university. So I had a ton of other classmates that were applying to Colorado because it's Colorado. People love the weather and all, hiking and all the outdoors. And I was one of the only ones that was getting, I had 7 interviews, ended up getting the one job, and then same thing with Alex. But we saw a big dwindling compared to like the previous year before that.
Yeah. So while I was in New York, I was down in Rector Street, which is right by Wall Street. The Wall Street station is just like, there's a little church where we used to eat at. And we were on the 17th floor. And then everyone knew of the crash and, you put the TVs on. And we'd literally look over the balcony and just see everyone walking out of their jobs. They're like,
with boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
yeah,
how long is
you were
this
literally in the heart of it. Yeah. Because that's where that collapse started, right there.
Exactly. So we're looking over the edge and be like, I don't know how long our jobs are going to last anymore. So they lasted about 6 months more, laid off a whole bunch. And I just heard horror stories after horror stories because it's in New York, there's such a culture. All of your friends are architects there's so many architecture firms there. So SOM, 30 gone, shop, 20, and my other friends were basically saying, you got to leave the city because there's no jobs and it's not going to come back for a year or two. And I called up Lance and he still had a job at HT, but I said, we need alternate streams of income, and especially you since you have kids. And that goes back to podcasting because probably most people that are familiar with your podcast are familiar with Pat Flynn.
Yep.
So Pat Flynn, same thing. He got laid off, started his own thing, and is now doing great. So that
just for anybody who doesn't know who it is, Pat Flynn is the Smart Passive Income podcast. So if anybody wants to go check out Pat, it's a really, really interesting and inspiring guy and a great podcast.
Absolutely inspiring. And Alex mentions every time we do tell our, where our origins of F9, he always mentions him. We always have to mention him because I think it was an absolute catalyst for us, like doing this spark plug idea from the beginning.
Let's take a quick break here to say thank you to our platform sponsors here at Entre Architect. We could not be doing this without them. NCARB, True Style Doors, and FreshBooks. Do you know someone in your firm who's always dreamed of getting licensed, but was unable to complete the experience requirement? Well, maybe that person's you. Well, now you or they can get back on track with NCARB's new AXP portfolio. With this option, seasoned professionals can complete the Architectural Experience Program, the AXP, formerly the IDP. That's what we used to know it by. It's changed. It's new. You can now complete the AXP by submitting an online portfolio. Along with meeting your state's education and examination requirements, the portfolio will help you or your employees get one step closer to becoming an architect. Learn more about the AXP portfolio at ncarb.org/entrearchitect. Have you ever gone back to a completed project for a visit and found the doors sticking or the seams splitting and a very unhappy client? I've been there. We are in the client happiness business here as Small Firm Architects, and when a piece of our project fails to perform, especially one that our clients see and use and touch every day, it makes us look bad. Well, True Style will make us look good. And True Style is passionate about providing us small firm architects with the inspiration and the tools to transform our designs with the most authentic and distinctive doors available. With more than 400 made-to-order styles, True Style offers beautifully stable, premium MDF doors for painted applications and 20 standard species of wood across all architectural categories from traditional to contemporary and everything in between. Every True Style door is made to order. True Style, driven by design. Visit truestyle.com, that's TRUSTILE.com, and start designing your doors today. 192 hours. That works out to about 2 business days per month. If you're an architect using FreshBooks, that's the amount of administration time that you could save in 2017. That's time that you can be spent doing the things you love, like being an architect. FreshBooks is so fast and easy to use that it changes the way we deal with our paperwork. FreshBooks has been completely redesigned from the ground up and custom built for the way that we work. With the new projects feature, we can share files and messages with our clients and our contractors and employees. With the new notification center, it's sort of like a personal assistant. You'll always know what's changed in your business since the last time you logged in. So when you're ready to give FreshBooks a try, go to freshbooks.com/architect and sign up for your free 30-day unrestricted trial. You get the whole thing for free for 30 days and get the simplest way to be more productive, more organized, and most importantly, get paid faster. Go to freshbooks.com/architect. That's freshbooks.com/architect, and be sure to enter Entre Architect in the How Did You Hear About Us section.
So I had the not so smart idea that I could just write it out with 1 year of going to get my master's in construction management. And then I go, hey, I'll build us a website, stuff like that. And Lance says, there's something to this BIM. I'm going to try making, these BIM models. And you can tell that story.
Yeah. So if for all the Revit listeners out there, in 2008, in 2009, there was a huge glut in the market for manufacturer-specific building products that you could just plug and play off of places like ArcCAT or Autodesk Seek. Now it's now defunct and went to something else, and all of those other places and stuff like that. So when I was actually at Studio HT, for the last couple months, I was doing cold calling, and I was literally calling. And we actually ended up landing a meeting with one of the first Autodesk Seek representatives who lived in Longmont, believe it or not, in the same town as us, trying to become one of their firms that would create all of this manufacturer-specific content. And so got laid off from Studio HT, and then Alex and I had this conversation, and I said, well, one of the things I see immediate, and without me trying to get these manufacturers on board, I mean, that's a big sell to say to a manufacturer, hey, it's going to cost $10,000 to put all of your windows in here, and the architects might pull them off the web, and they might put them in your project, and then the budget might, it's like this huge sell. So I said
during the recession too, when they're probably in the crunch also.
So I thought, well, the easier one is I can make some speculative models. And so one of the things I was always lacking when I was doing these super modern houses in Boulder at that firm was modern looking furniture. So I went to some popular websites like I think Hive Modern or something like that, and started making all of these speculative models, and I would upload them to TurboSquid. I was doing it in such a big volume that I got the attention of the sales representative there that was in charge of the newly emerging Revit content. And she said, hey, how many of these are you planning to put up? And I had like a crazy number in mind. I think I had like a couple hundred up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to put 5,000 up in a month or something. And I really was going to try to. So she said, oh, wow, that's awesome. So we kept in touch. And then she went to this trade fair and met a gentleman who was working with ArcCAT and basically trying to be their source provider. And so they linked up, and he ended up landing like 50 manufacturers. So in a roundabout way, that's the first kind of work that we got with F9. Before it was really even kind of an LLC. I mean, it was just me independently getting this work. So the first projects I did in Revit building this content were like I was making railings for big manufacturers in the United States and getting paid a pretty good wage for it. And this was after I got
you're doing that. You got laid off, and you're doing that solo at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Got laid off, and in between getting the BIM work and being laid off, I just fell back on my carpentry skills. I literally the next day put up a Craigslist ad because I could see the writing on the wall, just like Alex. Alex could literally see the writing on the wall straight. I could see it on the wall, and I had 2 kids. I had 2 kids to feed. I had a wife. And so I just fell back on my carpentry skills. Boulder didn't get hit as bad at the recession. They said it kind of just stayed steady. And so there were still enough money there. People were wanting to do just basic remodels to their houses, painting, stuff like that. So I kind of worked on that way. I take a lot of pride in this. I actually never took unemployment. So I just kind of went right into, okay, fine. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to stay in Colorado. I am not going back to North Dakota for no matter what it takes. And did enough of that handyman work to where then I landed the BIM stuff. And the BIM stuff we still do a ton of BIM content to this day, through working through. So if you go to ArcCAT, F9.com. That's the majority of the models and stuff on there are sourced from F9. Like
That's
we
very
are.
cool.
We are
I was just at RCAT with Bill Monday or Tuesday this week. I was up there.
Yeah.
If you go on my Facebook page, you can see some of the VR stuff that he was showing me.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Very
it's
cool.
pretty
Very cool.
Yeah. So then just to stay on Revit and BIM, essentially then I basically came down. Lance had kind of enough work and I was out of college and didn't have anything. And he was a little bit nervous about me coming down because he didn't know if he had, enough work.
We had a really good pile of building information modeling to do with Revit, right? And then we had a big house that I landed that was about over 10,000 square feet. It was huge. And then the kicking point, the thing that turned the page where I said, okay, Al, calm down. I think we can do this we can try it for a couple months. Why not? Let's just try it. I got a clinic, and I had to actually go back to Studio HT and team up with them because I got the lead on it. And I said, hey, I got the lead on this. I still got kids to feed. I think, can you guys at least team up with me on this, and you guys be the license and I'll be the production on this. So they were the lead and everything. So Alex came down.
Yep. And then I had about $4,000 in my pocket, and I just said, there's nothing else going on. So I'm just coming down to Colorado. And again, it was still during the recession, so we could see the writing on the wall, meaning that there wasn't going to be these large commissions for $4 million houses or $2 million houses, nothing like that. But there was going to be a bunch of small projects. There were going to be additions, alterations, things like that. So we decided that we needed to be a volume-based business, and we needed to change the structure of our firm so that we could meet that demand. So then we went into Revit and started developing a template. So let's set up all of our sheets. Let's set up all of our schedules. Let's take all of those furniture pieces and make sure that they work. Let's make sure that we can render just off the bat if we need to, set up all of our wall systems. And then let's also think about the future of, let's model the way it's gonna be constructed. So we basically have like a framing wall and then a facade wall, because that's the process it gets constructed, and it helps us teach new people coming in because it's matching the real world exactly.
And even liability wise, I think we were thinking, okay, I had a lot of construction experience. Alex had a fair amount of it, but we didn't have we have built buildings. So how can we make sure, is there a way we can sort of have a bulletproof way of us, the way we model, it'll try to be a one-to-one once it gets built. So we don't have a lot of, if we get a few clients, it doesn't go sour right away and we don't sully our name instantly.
Yeah. And it was probably too because we were so young. And during the recession, everyone was fighting for a job. So to pick us, we needed a leg up. And what we found, because we'd always ask people after we were done, hey, why did you pick us? You had millions of options. And we always tried to be the middle guy too. And they said, you were quick to respond, meaning we turn around contracts and proposals within a day. You were the most professional. And by most professional, I don't think you have to be super professional. You can see how, just dress normal and just respond to people. And then in the end, you over-delivered. And that's what it took just to get those jobs. And we thought that was so basic, but it seemed that most people weren't doing that. If you've worked with other engineers or it takes them 4 days to get back to you, you don't know. And if you just do those quick fundamental things, I think you'd be surprised at the amount of work that you can do, and then the referrals you can get from those work.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So I think that, yeah. So
we
did that for a couple years.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that was basically from 2010 to 2013. We didn't make a lot of money. We just scraped by. We basically scraped by to the point where we could just eat. We did what I don't think we ever handed out a bonus until maybe 2014, 2015 to ourselves. We did put ourselves on very meager salaries.
When did you actually form F9? So you're doing solo work. You come together. You get this project, and you work together on it.
Yep. So Lance formed it in 2009. Around the end of the year. I came in 2010 around May, and one thing my mom said, which was great, make sure you're paying yourself correctly. So don't just do a job for $5,000 and then split it up. So we registered as a company, which is very easy to do. Set up a bank account where all the money goes into for F9, and then it gets distributed to us. And then I started to do all the taxes myself, but then we got ADP. And ADP is a service that will just, send out all your checks and stuff for you and do all the taxes. And what was great about that is even our we got an accountant, like 2 or 3 years later. And she's like, thank God you guys did this. There's so many people that just take a check and they just put it in their account. And for loaning in the future, when you want to get a small business loan, which we did, when you want to get, funding or anything like that, you really do have to set yourself up to look like a business. And it's not that hard. It's just those couple steps: registering yourself, getting a bank account, and getting a pay system.
So we've been W-2s since day one, and it's been paramount for us being able to personally guarantee to loans. And I don't think we'd be, jumping way ahead to being able to even jump into this hopefully new development and personally guarantee the loan on the land and the construction loan and everything if we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing now. You're just starting to do some development work, right? So how did you get from doing the BIM work to that point, to where you are now?
Yeah. So basically, we kept chugging away and doing additions and houses, and we even have townhomes of 24 units and some commercial work. But the other side thing is that we like to do a fun project every year. And the fun project is just basically whatever Lance and I think of. And we think is cool.
Whatever we can both agree on, and we're pretty agreeable. But we got to have some passion. There's got to be some passion. And it's got to be fun.
Yeah, and I think I got that from Leapskin too, because he didn't become real famous until he was older. And I looked at his old project, and it was all just crazy stuff that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It don't make any sense. He's drawing lines, in random directions. So, for example, in 2012, we were heading out with our girlfriends at the time to the Grand Canyon. And we're like, well, the world's going to end this year, so obviously we should do doomsday dwellings. And we should make architecture that fights against the apocalypse, right? So we made up 4 houses, and each one had a symbol. So the one that was a circle fought against tornadoes and a nuclear bomb. So it was against air, right? One was fire. The firehouse was a square, and it collapses in on itself. Flood house is a rectangular. It's lifted above. And then the triangle shape is earthquake house, and it's shaped just like that typical cartoonish, house shape.
Like a Monopoly house.
Yeah.
Right.
So we call that house. So that was one project, and we do these all the time.
That one was great because it got us a lot of local media attention. We landed a 7-page spread with Modern in Denver, which is kind of our version of Dwell in Colorado. And I mean, the marketing, if we would have paid for that marketing, it would have been like $20,000 or something like that. And people now, so we did that year. In 2010 we started.
Wait, before you go into that, so these 4 projects, do you just design them and render them, or are they fully built out structures?
The doomsday ones just designed and put on the web, and it's just
doomsdaydwellings.com actually.
And it's so funny. Cool. One of our new employees said, "Know what you guys need to do? You need to do architecture that fights against hurricanes and stuff like that." We're like, we did that, in 2012.
Pulled out the magazine. It was hilarious. We're like, oh, we've already thought of that crazy idea.
Yeah. So one of the fun projects that led to us now going into being a design, build, own firm is one of our friends was complaining during the recession. And actually, this started in 2010.
Yeah.
Because we just got a big project. We were out celebrating, and he calls us, and he's just complaining.
Hates his job, hates his firm, hates his life.
So we said, hey, do you have some money? And he goes, yeah. And then we go, okay, we'll design a tiny house for you. You can take it. You can go around America. You can write, take pictures, do what you love to do, and then you'll stop complaining. And then he's like, I don't know, guy. He just thought we were joking or whatever. Hung up the phone. We go back we were celebrating with his kids, but my apartment was right above his apartment. And I go, Lance, we're really going to do this. And he's like, yeah. I go, okay, I'll start the website. So I started the website. We started, the initial thoughts of design. And the next day we emailed him and said, hey, there's a website with your name on it. We're doing this. We're designing a tiny house. He's like, oh, okay, whatever.
It was a really fun project. So it was Alex and I, and then this gentleman, and then one of our other colleagues from that we went to school with. We worked on it for about a year. We got a crazy organic following because that's kind of when the tiny house movement started to lift off. I mean, it was an insane amount of organic traffic we got in. Even the websites we create now are like, man, what did we do with that one that made it so easily? Everybody wanted to put it on their blog. I mean, it just went crazy. We started tracking, the hits we were getting a day. It was like over 100 a day.
What's the name of that one?
That one is now atlastinyhouse.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Formerly blake'stinyhouse.com.
Yeah. Go ahead. So after we designed it and said, okay, let's build it, Blake said, I never agreed to this. You guys just kind of did it.
Yeah. So we shelved that idea for a while, but it was such a compelling tiny house design. I mean, the idea was, let's make a tiny transformer house on wheels. Let's make the walls, the wall fold down, like the wall fold up so it's an awning and a deck. You expand, like double the living space. All kinds of cool stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the tiny house movement, which Mark, you probably are, and most people are,
Yep.
Most of them look like cool cabins.
Little cabins on wheels.
Little nicely built cabins. And we thought like, we always start from scratch, build from the fundamentals, first principles. So our first thing was these things are hard to tow. So let's lower the front so that the wind goes over it. And what was great about that is now that we can put solar panels on top of that, and then we can collect the rainwater since it's at one gentle slope. Then the other thing was I'm kind of claustrophobic. And if you put these things in nature, I want to see nature. I don't want to be in an RV plastic vinyl box. So one whole wall, that's just going to be windows. The whole wall is going to be storefront. And then once we did that, we thought, okay, let's protect that somehow. Let's have a deck that folds down and an awning folds up, which then creates shade and then extends your outdoor spaces and makes it even bigger. So it was a very logical and step-by-step approach. And I think that's why people loved it, and it kind of took off. And we had producers saying, hey, can we film you for HGTV?
Yeah,
all
so
the time.
From 2010 to 2013, the project got shelved, but the website was still alive. And I'm not joking, we would have TV producers. There's an LA to Denver connection. And I don't know why there is, but there's a lot of television producers, those small companies out here that do work with TLC, HGTV, all those guys. And so we would have multiple offers per month of people saying, hey, are you guys planning to build this? We're thinking about doing a tiny house show. And now, as you know, there's like 3 or 4 of them, to the point where we even did a Sizzler one day. We had this one group fly out from LA, and they did a Sizzler, and they were actually going to pitch a whole different show, like it was going to be called Design Duel and stuff like that. So there was all of this building momentum and stuff. Jumped to 2015, and we finally at that point then grew to where we had I think
some employees.
I think we had 4 employees. So we expanded to 6 finally. So we had people in place to continue the architecture work and then we had enough capital and enough W-2 showings and earnings and stuff like that and cash where we could say, all right, I think it's time to build this. So Alex went down to do a show, like a house show or home and garden show or something down in Denver.
Yep, just for fun, because that's what architects do apparently. And they had a list and they said, if you're building a tiny house, please sign up. And they called me the next day and said, are you guys building one? I said,
yeah,
no,
are you serious? Yeah.
But we can. And like Lance said, we had some capital because we never paid ourselves, an exorbitant amount. We always kept it low because we were in the recession. They said, okay, great. Can you design and build one in the next 2 months? And we go, no, but like maybe 3 months. And then they said,
we're suckers for saying yes, I'll be honest with you.
And they said, okay, how about 2.5 months?
How about 2.5 months, and what if we give you $1,000? And we just laughed at the whole thing because we knew this thing is going to cost, and it ended up costing like $75,000 to build.
Yep. So I started getting the finance ready. We started because it was just a SketchUp model, and a SketchUp model might be useful, but not when you're doing folding walls, glass, metal construction. And we designed everything, like the trailer itself from the ground up, had our engineer stamp it, all that stuff. So it was just a crazy whirlwind of 2.5 months. We even had our dads come down.
I was actually finishing my architecture tests at the same time that we built this house and remodeling my house. So it was a nightmare. For me, it was a nightmare trying to manage all of that. But we did it.
Yeah. So it got on HGTV. It went great. We're basically in Colorado in Lyons, which is right next to Longmont. There's a place called We Casa where it has a whole bunch of these tiny houses, the cabin ones and ours.
It's the world's second tiny house hotel.
Yep. So it's just sitting there and it's making passive income, essentially just by renting it out. And another local company saw us, and essentially they said, hey, we want you to build 2 more for a big Fortune 500 company that we can't say because NDA. But we built 2 more, and then basically from the profit of doing that, again, it was a tight schedule. It was crazy.
And these ones were, Atlas was, I would say, a residential level tiny house construction wise, right? But these next 2 were like on a commercial level, like they were like the skyscrapers of tiny houses because they doubled the folding walls. They were 50% bigger. I mean, the engineering on them alone, it was just this insane task.
On top of the sloping roof, we have a sky deck that has railings that you can go up to. So those fold down, and then that collapses down to be more aerodynamic. So literally just nightmares of me just making sure all these things pivot and rotate and fold up and all that stuff.
And you guys didn't only design them, you built them yourselves?
Physically built them. Yeah. So then after that, and that just was basically the end of 2016. And before that, we were kind of looking for land, kind of thinking because like many of our heroes, Jonathan Segal, there's a lot of people doing design build. And we just think that if you go back historically, that's the master architect was the
master builder was the architect, right?
That's
what it means.
So I think that's kind of a renaissance. And I think that, a lot of architects complain or discuss what we get paid for. And our thought is, we could go into that discussion, or we could just take on more responsibility.
Right.
And I think the more responsibility we put ourselves in, the more we're going to get paid for it, and the more
and risk.
The responsibility, yeah.
let's not gloss over that.
Yeah. So finally, our real estate agent said, "Hey, the land you were looking at."
We actually put an offer on a piece of land right before we started building those last 2 tiny houses. And it was just a small parcel right in the town that we have our firm at. It was like 1/3 of an acre. But our offer was shelved because somebody came in with cash. I mean, cash is king, and then it's highly competitive in Colorado right now, especially. It's one of the hot spots in the United States as far as real estate development goes. So we were bummed out about that. We went on to build the tiny houses, and then lo and behold, the person who ended up buying the land got sick, and they said, hey, even before I went back on MLS, the real estate agent called our real estate agent and said, hey, is the backup offer still on? We're like, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So within one day, we had a contract and everything, and here we are. Now we've met with the city a few times, and we're starting the whole development process.
So what's your plan with that project? What are you building?
So before going in that, just a quick, I always ask all my developer friends who we do, the architecture for, hey, how do you get land, and how do you know if it's the right price? And obviously you need to, do a schematic design and see what you can fit on there. But out of your total end construction budget, the budget for the project, if you can get your land for under 18%
per lot,
per unit that you're selling, you're basically in a good zone. So we knew that the land that we got, and we knew how many structures we could fit. It's 2 buildings. So it's 6 residential townhomes on one side, 2 on the other side with our new office connected to it. So that will be an IBC building. The other one will be an IRC building. Basically, we're not going to do sprinklers on one side, and we'll do sprinklers on the other side. So we knew that doing that math, we got it for under 18%, way under 18%. So we're already
18% of what? Explain what that means.
That means basically not the profit so let's say you build everything, including the not the land, but
construction costs.
Putting in your roads, all that, your tap fees, whatever that number is.
Yep.
Let's say it's $1 million or whatever. 18% of that.
Got it.
Yep.
So the land should be 18% of your total investment in the construction of that structure.
Yep. And that's just coming from the developers here in Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in New York City, I have no idea, or California, I obviously have no idea. But in general, I always think sometimes there's this ambiguity, and that's something that I wish someone told me, so now I'm telling everyone else.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's why I followed up on that, because I think that's important. So what's the next step? Can we follow your progress on this project? Are you promoting that somewhere, or are you just going to build it and then present it?
Yeah, so our fun project this year is starting a podcast. And the podcast is called Inside the Firm. And essentially the first 3 episodes are already up. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, just Facebook. Sure.
Facebook's our main platform.
Yeah.
Just getting the word out.
Mark, you'll probably have links.
Yeah, we will.
And we did our intro story, how we got work, kind of what we went through with you, but a little bit more elaborate with the first 3 episodes. And then it's going to be basically the conversations that Lance and I have about past experiences, stories, horror stories, good stories, and then following this design build project. So literally an inside the firm view of what's going on in this design build project, along with what's going on, in our whole architecture.
And so one good thing we did with the tiny house, the second tiny house build, was we started just an album on Facebook, and I think that was one of the best ways to do it with our F9 Productions page. And every day we would do some new construction task. So I think the idea is the same here too. So we'll have the inside the firm verbally, and people can listen to what we have to talk about there. Fights with the cities and money and all the beautiful stuff that happens.
We love you,
right?
Longmont.
Yeah, but visually, I think we're going to start an album on and start showing like, hey, here's the constraint that we encountered that we had no idea about, and here's how we solved the problem on the site and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting too because all projects that you do when you're in the schematic design development, that phase, it's okay, but the party wall really affects, what wall you're going to use might affect the spacing of the units and what your building height is, and if you can have 2 stories or 3 stories, and what is the technical definition of story? Can you have rooftop backs? Like, it's so nuanced, even though I think back in school you thought, oh, it's just bubble diagrams and all that, and it really gets into code quick, I believe.
Yeah. So Inside the Firm is the name of the podcast. F9productions.com is the website for the architecture firm, right?
Yep.
You also Alex, you just published a book. So you guys are like the steamroller of architecture here. You learn about the book at it's alexandergore.com. Anybody who wants to check that out. It's called the Creativity Code. And it's actually sitting right next to me because it's on a pile of books that are going on vacation with me as soon as I finish this interview. So I'm going to check it out. But if anybody wants, I love that title, by the way. I think the Creativity Code is such a cool title. You guys are doing some great stuff. And I can't wait to listen to the podcast because you guys, this is by far the easiest interview I've ever done.
Thanks.
Just sort of wound you up and set you off, and you guys told a great story. So it's I appreciate you guys for being here.
Yeah, well, thanks a bunch. I've followed you, I think, for almost 2 years now. I got Alex to piggyback on top, and we love what you're doing. I can't thank you enough for starting all the little discussions. It's such a really great resource in the Entree Architect community for me to go on and ask actual questions, and even horror stories about clients or something like how do you deal with this stuff and getting that perspective. That's one of the things we didn't like about just general architects coming into the profession was it seems like everybody wants to just hold on to their little secrets and stuff, and I think the only way we're going to compete with these other professions and really take back, that kind of gold seal of architect is if we'll open up and we kind of share content and stuff like that.
Totally agree. Share what you know. That's how we're going to grow. That's how as a profession we're going to grow and become stronger. Before we wrap up here, guys, I want to ask you the one question that I ask all my guests, and maybe Lance, you can start with the answer first, and then Alex can do this. And I'm springing this on you guys. I didn't warn you about this, but what is the one thing that small firm architects can do today to build a better business for tomorrow? And it should be something that's something easily executed and see some results relatively short term.
It harks back to just being fundamentally responsive. I can't. Alex mentioned it earlier, and I really think that's where it's at. Yesterday on our podcast, we talked about it's so simple just to, even if you are so busy, right? You're like driving around all day and you're not in the office and you get an email from a client. If you can't respond in detail to them, if you at least respond to them and say, hey, I got it, I'll get back to you tomorrow, or a potential client or anything like that, I think it just alleviates the stress that they have that nobody's taking care of me and that this person is acknowledging me, and it shows that you absolutely respect and value that they're a client or a potential client.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, I would have said that, but since he said it, I have to come up with another one. And I would say that, we already said do fun projects. So you can always do some sort of fun thing that you can put your heart to. But if you don't have the time to do that, there's so many stuff that you've done, a little sketch here, an idea there, that you have, and it's in your corner. It's, behind your desk or somewhere. And what I would say is think about how you can put that out there. It is so easy now to make a website. Weebly is drag and drop. It's simple. You can do it for free, or else it's $9 a month. It's nothing. And so many of these ideas that we put our hearts in, Doomsday Dwelling, RevitFurniture.com, the tiny house, whatever, they have all come back. They have come back in a circuitous route, and it have paid off, if not that year, but years later. And it's again about putting something out. So everyone that's listening to this podcast, I feel, has talents and ideas, but they're stuck in your room. So somehow think, how can you put it out there in the world?
2 excellent answers. Really, really good. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for sharing your knowledge here today at Entre Architect Podcast.
All right. Hey, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Complete show notes and a direct link to download this episode will be found at entrearchitect.com/episode 158. And don't forget to visit our website to gain access to our digital course, Profit for Small Firm Architects, and learn how to build a powerful profit plan that will work for your small firm. Visit entrearchitect.com/free course. Hey, hundreds of architects have already taken this course. It's a great place to start building a better business, and it's free. entrearchitect.com/free course. My name is Mark R. LePage, and I am an entrepreneur architect, and I encourage you to go build a better business so you can be a better architect. Love, learn, and share what you know. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome week.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark R. LePage, founder of Entre Architect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.